Well, cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookies Cacti. We are now at the 4-month mark on this cactus growing journey in this whole video series that I've been doing from sowing these plants from seed all the way to this point. I have 2 trays here. You're going to notice that there's some empty spots here. That's because one of the pots was completely empty, the Turbinicarpus, and nothing had survived. So I removed that 2.5-inch pot, and then the rest of them were the Ariocarpus, and I just moved them over to another tray in a little darker of an area because the Ariocarpus were so stressed. It seems like they were probably light stressed, seems like, but we'll go take a look at those after this. So I've got these 2 trays again. The majority of the plants are Copiapoa, but there are some other plants mixed in here as well. I have 1 tray over here where the majority of them are now 6 months old, and then some of these are the 4-month-olds, and then we've got a full couple of trays of 4-month-olds. I think there's a couple pots in there that don't belong in this group of plants, but it's okay. I'm going to go backwards this time. I'm going to start with the younger plants, and then we'll move towards the older ones. So let's take a look at these 4-month-olds now. And you've probably heard me say this a million times if you've watched my other Copiapoa seedling videos, that somewhere between 4 and 5 months is when I notice there's a growth spurt for Copiapoa. There's a moment when they just look like teeny tiny seedlings, and then they start to look like little miniature adults. So let's take a look at these. I think these are on that cusp of that adolescent phase in their life. But otherwise, you know, they're still pretty small. All right, so let's start with the Turbinicarpus. You can see one of the pots is gone, and the other ones are not doing great. So this is the Gremnus spinus. Still some left, but gosh, I had a huge die-off with these. You can see this one's rotted. So the growing method, the growing medium that the Copiapoa seem to really like, the Turbinicarpus do not like it. So this is a Turbinicarpus niebla. Just a few left in there. Oh, actually, yeah, probably about 8 or so left. I'm not holding my breath. I have this 1 pot of Mammillaria. You can see the seedlings are really, really small. They're still hanging in there. I mean, that's 4 months of, you know, since being sown. They're really, really small. Then we've got the Copiapoa Lembekii var magnifica. These are Mesa Garden seeds, and I grew a ton of these. They're doing well. Some of them, I don't know if you can see, but like that seedling right in the center of the screen, it has some spines that are starting to turn a darker color. It's very hard to see. That one is, oh, that one maybe you can see. See those spines just starting to turn colors? Here's another one, same thing, var magnifica, Lembekii. You can see some of them have spines changing colors. Over here, you can see at 4 months, you know, they're still pretty small, but sometime between now and the next time I do the update, you'll see the change. These are Copiapoa coquimbana KK1388. You can see that compared to the Lembekii, they're growing faster. They're bigger at the same age. This is the same thing. You can see also their spines are starting to turn a kind of an orange-brown color. This is Copiapoa megariza varicanata. Same ID here. They look like a little bit light stressed. You can see they're kind of purple. Interestingly, the other ones are not so light stressed, so there's a variation in that as well. This is Copiapoa marginata. Maybe not the best germination, but the ones that are there are doing fine. These are also tend to be a little bit on the bigger side because you can see the Lembekii var magnifica behind them. This is also marginata. Like that one is growing pretty fast. Also, their spines, the tips are starting to change color. And then back here, I just have a ton more of Lumbeckii var magnifica. Let's see if I can. And then let's go over here for more 4-month-olds. This is Areocarpus fissuratus. You can see I think there's 3 left in there. Definitely has got that green algae going. This is Copiapoa pepiniana var fidleriana. Doing all right there. Areocarpus fissuratus intermedius. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants in there. These guys are actually more green and not so light stressed, so that's good. I mean, there's some that are still off color, but it's not too bad compared to some of my other ones. This is Copiapoa desertorum. Interesting. Copiapoa tigriensis. Still have 4 left, or 4. The same 4 that were in here last time at the 3-month update. These guys are growing really slow. I don't know if that's normal or I don't know. Here's Areocarpus fissuratus intermedius. It's also intermedius. It's a different seed catalog number than the one in front of it. This one was more successful in terms of germination. You can see there's some mold in there. It's okay, I'll go and pick it off. And these guys are a little light stressed, but they're not like completely purple. Alright, so those are the 4-month-olds. Let me move over here. It's going to be a little bit dark. It's the Areocarpus that I moved out of those trays just to give them, like, move them a little further away from the light. I don't know if you can tell, but they're still kind of purple, but there's like a green one there right in the center of the screen. I feel like they're a little bit greener. This one has some pretty bad mold in it, so I'll go pick that off. And there's really just 2 seedlings maybe in here. This one's a little bit... Oh, by the way, these 2 were both Areocarpus retusus. This is Retusis furfuraceus. Also some mold in there. And there's... Oh, it's really hard to see. There's like 1 green one. The rest of them are still kind of purple. You know, at this point, maybe it's a light, maybe it's something else, maybe it's the soil that they don't like is stressing them. Here's a pot of Retusis. This one's actually not doing too bad. It may come out kind of dark on the camera, but when I look at it with my eyes, they're actually alright. They're mostly green. And it's funny because I was like, oh look, there's one plant growing faster than everybody else, and turns out that is not an Areocarpus. I probably have a Copiapoa stuck in there. And then I don't think that those are part of this batch, so I'm not going to go over those ones. One thing I have noticed with the Areocarpus here is that there are little bugs inside here. Let me see if it's going to... Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see that. You see that? Yep, we can definitely see the little bugs moving around there. Does anybody know what they are? I just started seeing them show up. And I think they're only in the Areocarpus pots. Yeah, look at those guys. I have in the past, in my previous batches of Areocarpus, I had a really tough time controlling fungus gnats. I don't know if these are fungus gnats. Can't tell if they have wings on them. They might. Anyway, I might use some like mosquito bits or something. I don't know if they actually truly hurt the plant. Perhaps they'll eat the roots or something. I don't know. I'm kind of too lazy to do anything about it, to be honest. It's almost spring now, and there's just like so much repotting, not only on the seedlings, but on the like at the adult plants outside as well. So there's just so like endless amounts of work to do with the season warming up. All right, let's take a look at the 6-month-olds now. These are all going to be Copiapoa. So you have this Copiapoa horrid spina that is just growing faster than everybody else. So that's interesting, and that does happen. There are certain species I found that grow a lot faster like the grandiflora you might have seen in one of my posts. And a humulus tends to seem to grow faster. There's some other ones as well, I just can't remember off the top of my head. Like on the other hand, I've got this Heseltoniana that's growing pretty slow. So it's not a very successful pot with only 2 seedlings and one of them being like a runt. Then the rest of these are lots and lots of Lembekii. So these are 6 months old, and you can really see them starting to resemble like miniature versions of their adult form, or at least, I don't know about their true adult form, but definitely an older form, like a 1-year-old or something. These are all VAR Magnifica. These are 2.5-inch pots, this row of 4. Then I've got these, I think, 3.25-inch pot. This pot is just horrendously overgrown. I need to repot this because I think when they're really squished like this, it may stunt their growth. So I need to, oh gosh, I am kind of intimidated because there's a lot of them that need to be repotted. I'm actually thinking about repotting them into just a full 10-20 tray rather than individual pots. VAR Magnifica, more VAR Magnifica, more VAR Magnifica. Some of you have been sending me messages, mostly through Instagram, that you're also growing these plants from seed, and some of you might be kind of growing in parallel with with me, and I think that's so cool. This is this one is Copiapoa Lembekii KK70, so this is not VAR Magnifica. I find these to be slower growing. All 6 months old. Last row is VAR Magnifica again. Some strange growth in there anyway. But you can see a lot of these now have the dark spines, and it's very obvious. So 6 months old. I still have the plastic clear domes sitting, hovering above the tray, so there's like a nice gap where air comes in. So there's no, well, you know, even with that covering, it does hold some humidity in, but there's no condensation on the inside of the domes. I don't know, at some point I'm just going to take the dome off. Right now I am putting the dome over the tray, and then I have 1 layer of window screen over it. So they might be okay actually being exposed like this, but I'm just not really paying that close attention. But at some point they'll just sit like this without any kind of dome or anything protecting them. So these are 4-month-olds. These are 6-month-olds. So you can kind of see the progression that I get with Copiapoa. Again, all these soil mixes that I use tend to work quite well for Copiapoa, but not necessarily for anything else. Copiapoa is the only kind of a specialty genus that I've been growing over and over and over again, because I think that potentially some of the natives plants here might like this mix too, but I just can't say it because I've only grown 1 batch of them. The Copiapoa are the only genus that I can say like this mix because I have grown so many batches of them. Let me actually get up and show you on the top shelf some of the older plants. So this is Copiapoa Lembekii VAR Magnifica, exactly the same seed catalog as those younger plants that we looked at. These were sown, I think, in late January of 2022. So they're about 1 year and 2 months old or so. This is sitting in a 2.5-inch pot. And even amongst this batch, the size varies all over the place, even though it's the same seed pack. So like this one down here, this is the biggest one of the entire batch. And then if you look at the other pots, then they can get much, much smaller. So it's all over the place. If I kind of zoom out, you can see how different, like how much bigger this one is compared to the rest of them. So these are all VAR Magnifica. And you can see that those little babies we were just looking at, they're starting to resemble little miniature versions of their older siblings. And then back here, These are Lembekii, the KK70. And I think these were also sown late January. So they're the same age as the Var Magnifica we were just looking at. So 14 months old or so. I really love these. And then we have my oldest. These are Lembekii KK70, so exactly the same catalog, seed catalog number as the ones behind them. They're all from Mesa Garden. Because these are a year and probably 7 months old now. So quite a bit of variation. And I think, yeah, this one's also Lembekii. And then this is that very strange, like a monstrous form of the Lembekii as well. And this one started off growing very normal. And then at some point, it just started this very strange growth, and I'm glad it's still alive. I just feel like it's going to change its mind and do something else at some point. So these are Copiapoa Lembekii KK70, a year and 7 months old, a year and 2 months old, 6 months old, and then these are Var Magnifica, so a different variation, but 4 months old. So I hope you enjoyed that update. For those of you who are also growing Copiapoa, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's so great that we're helping to keep these populations growing, even if they're in cultivation. Doesn't matter. I hope you all are having fun with it too. So I will be back next month for the 5-month update on these guys, and then we'll see how much they've changed. Hope you all are having a wonderful day, evening, or night. Happy growing. If you have had any inkling of wanting to grow from seed, do it, because time is passing no matter what. Like, you'll sow them and before you know it, a year has passed. It's really crazy. So happy growing, y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.